Ever wonder about the various terms we use to describe people based on where they live or where they come from? Today, we're going to explore these terms one by one. First up, we have inhabitant. An inhabitant is any person who resides permanently in a particular place. For instance, the inhabitants of Paris are known for their love of fashion. Next is resident. A resident is very similar to an inhabitant. It's a person who lives somewhere permanently or on a long-term basis. Think of it like this. She has been a resident of New York for 10 years. Our third term is dweller. It's another word for someone who lives in a specific place. Here's how you might use it. He's an urban dweller, preferring the hustle and bustle of the city to the quiet of the countryside. The fourth term is pioneer. This describes someone who is among the first to explore or settle a new area. For example, the pioneers braved harsh conditions to settle in the American West. Next, we have settler. A settler is a person who moves with a group of people to live in a new country or area. The early settlers of Australia faced numerous challenges. Our sixth term is nomad. A nomad is a member of a community of people who live in different locations, moving from one place to another. An example would be the Bedouin tribes are nomads of the desert. Then, we have native. This refers to a person born in a specified place or associated with a place by birth, whether subsequently they moved away or not. For example, she is a native of Brazil, but has spent most of her life in the States. The eighth term is colonist. A colonist is a person who settles in a new colony or moves into new country, like this. The British colonists established 13 colonies in North America. Following that, we have migrant. A migrant is a person who moves from one place to another, especially to find work or better living conditions. Here's an example. Many migrants move to find better opportunities. Our 10th term is immigrant. An immigrant is a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. For example, his parents were immigrants from Italy. Next is emigrant. This is a person who leaves their own country in order to settle permanently in another. Like this, many Irish emigrants moved to the United States during the potato famine. 12th is refugee. This is a person who has been forced to leave their country in order to escape war, persecution, or natural disaster. For instance, refugees from the war-torn country were seeking asylum. Next, we have expat or expatriate. This is a person who lives outside their native country. An example would be, she's an expat living in Spain. Our second last term is indigenous. This refers to the original inhabitants of a place. For instance, the indigenous cultures of Australia have a rich history. Lastly, we have transplant. This is a person who has moved to a new location, especially from a city to the country, or vice versa. For example, he's a city transplant enjoying his new life in the countryside. To sum up, we have inhabitant, resident, dweller, pioneer, settler, nomad, native, colonist, migrant, immigrant, emigrant, refugee, expat, indigenous, and transplant. These words help us describe the diverse ways in which people inhabit the world. So the next time you're describing someone's relationship to a place, remember you have a rich vocabulary at your disposal.